Okay, so what if?
Mhm.
What if everything you've been told about manifesting, the life of your dreams is, well, wrong?
hmm
What if the key is actually, like, surprisingly simple, but almost nobody applies it?
Right.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Hey there.
In this deep dive, we're going to explore exactly that. Why manifesting what you desire might be far simpler than you think, and why, despite that simplicity, most people don't really seem to get it right.
Yeah, it's a huge topic.
So our mission today is really to distill the core ideas from the information we've looked at, to understand what this quantum manifestation thing really means, and maybe how we've all been overcomplicating it.
Definitely feels that way sometimes.
And here's the paradox right at the start.
Hmm.
It's apparently so simple, almost nobody does it. Why? Let's figure it out.
It's a great question because the common belief, the thing you always hear, is that manifestation is hard.
Right. Rituals, visualizations.
Exactly. You need like elaborate rituals, endless visualizations, you got to get the affirmations perfect, and you're constantly trying to force yourself to raise your vibration,
Okay, let's dig into that then, because the main idea we kept seeing is that this quantum approach is surprisingly simple. How do those two things even fit together?
Exactly. That's the crux of it. So the starting point is realizing you are, like right now, living inside a quantum field.
Okay.
A field of just infinite possibility. And the key thing is this field doesn't respond to like forced effort. It responds to alignment.
Alignment, not effort.
Right. But the problem is most people approach it like a struggle. They're trying to overpower their current reality or change it with, sheer willpower.
Like trying to bash down a locked door instead of just finding the key.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
They're trying to repeat affirmations they don't actually believe deep down,
Mm-hmm.
visualize outcomes they secretly doubt, force themselves to think positive, while their actual body, their nervous system, is still totally locked in fear or scarcity or stress.
And that's where it breaks down.
That's exactly where the quantum system kind of collapses. Yeah, in the quantum world, forcing creates friction. It collapses the potential.
Okay, so if forcing is out and we're in this quantum field, what does it actually mean to manifest? What's the alternative?
Well, it's a total shift. It's not about getting what you want, like grabbing something outside yourself.
Okay.
It's about collapsing the version of reality where you already have it.
Whoa, okay.
So it's not about changing the external world first. It's about embodying the internal signal, the feeling, the frequency that draws that reality to you.
That feels like a massive paradigm shift. I mean, most people think you have to change the outside stuff first to feel different inside.
And it's completely the other way around. The quantum field, it already holds all the possibilities. Success, failure, abundance, scarcity, love, loneliness, health, struggle. They're all there.
As possibilities.
As waves of probability, yeah. But here's where it gets really interesting. Those waves, those possibilities, they don't actually collapse into your lived day-to-day reality until they meet a coherent observer.
A coherent observer.
And that observer, well, that's you. Your focus, your attention, your emotions. They are the sculptors. They choose which wave collapses.
Okay, and that leads right into the common trap, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because people are observing from fear.
That's exactly it. They focus on what's missing. They're vibrating, energetically at the frequency of scarcity, but they're trying to attract abundance.
It's a mismatch.
Total mismatch. In quantum language, it's just noise. It's not a clear signal. We've all been taught to chase what we want.
Mm-hmm.
But the real art here is becoming the version of yourself that doesn't need to chase it anymore.
Okay.
It's that version of you that kind of remembers deep down, oh, I'm already connected. I'm already entangled with the life I desire. The field is just waiting for my signal. My job isn't to push harder. It's just to be clearer.
So, if it's that simple, conceptually simple anyway, why does it feel so incredibly hard for most people? Why isn't everyone doing this?
Because the simplicity itself it's disarming, Letting go of that feeling of control, it feels deeply unnatural for us.
Yeah.
Surrendering the chase, it feels like giving up completely. But here's the paradox, the one almost nobody really talks about. The very moment you stop desperately needing it, that's when the field can finally deliver it.
I really like that framing. It makes you think about those times in your own life, right? Where something just effortlessly arrived. Like a chance meeting or an opportunity you weren't even looking for, or a brilliant idea that popped in when you were relaxed.
Exactly. And what's fascinating about those moments is the common thread, right? You weren't grasping, you weren't forcing it, you were just open, aligned, available.
Right.
That is quantum manifestation in action, whether you labeled it that way or not. And the quantum field, it doesn't really care about your words.
It reads the energy.
It reads your energy.
Yeah.
You can say, I am wealthy 1,000 times a day. But if your body, if your whole being is still broadcasting fear, if your heart feels clenched with scarcity, if your nervous system is just wired for struggle, the field will reflect that chaos back. It's not being cruel, it's just being precise. It mirrors your dominant frequency.
Okay, this feels like it takes us right to the heart of the radical shift needed here.
Yes, absolutely. Quantum manifestation really begins when you shift your focus from getting stuff to being someone. You become the signal, you embody the vibration, you let your internal state lead the way, not your effort.
So that raises a really critical question then. What exactly does the quantum field respond to? Is it just thoughts or emotions, beliefs, actions? Like, how do we get all of those aligned so they're not sending out, mixed messages?
And this is precisely where a lot of manifestation teachings kind of fall short. They focus on just one piece of the puzzle, maybe thoughts, maybe feelings, without addressing the deeper coherence of the entire system. They tell you, oh, just think positive. But they don't help you deal with the trauma stored in your body. Or they say visualize, but don't address the subconscious sabotage patterns. Or affirm success while your nervous system is still constantly braced for failure.
Yeah, that disconnect.
But the quantum field, it hears the whole signal, the integrated, embodied signal. And that's why alignment isn't just a mind game. It's a whole body, whole system, whole field shift.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Let's talk about the actual mechanics. The observer effect, the subconscious.
Oh, fascinating stuff, yeah. So the observer effect, it's a core principle in quantum physics. Basically, at that tiny quantum level, particles exist in the state of pure possibility, like a wave function. Everything is potential.
Right.
But when an observer, and we'll get to who that is, focuses on one possibility, that wave collapses. It goes from potential to a fixed event. Reality solidifies. The invisible becomes visible.
And the catch, like we touched on, is that the observer isn't only your conscious mind, the part you're aware of.
Exactly right. The observer is also your subconscious mind, your deeper programming.
Wow.
Which means even if you consciously desperately want abundance, if your subconscious is deeply wired for survival or scarcity or holds onto old fears, the field picks up that hidden transmission.
So the subconscious kind of overrides the conscious intention?
It becomes the real observer, in effect. Yeah, it ends up collapsing a timeline you didn't consciously choose. And this is why so many people feel stuck. They're trying to align their surface mind, their conscious thoughts, but they're ignoring these deep programs running underneath. And in the quantum game, the subconscious always wins.
And the sources we looked at even brought in the heart's influence here, didn't they?
Yes, and that's such a powerful piece. Researchers, like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, they've shown the heart has its own electromagnetic field, and it's way stronger than the brain's field.
Stronger than the brain's.
Wow. Yeah, much stronger. And this heart field radiates out from you and interacts directly with that larger quantum field around us. So when your heart and your brain are in sync, in coherence, you send out this incredibly powerful unified signal.
Okay.
But when they're out of sync, maybe your head says one thing, your heart feels another, the signal is weak, it's fragmented, it's noise again.
Ah, okay. That makes so much sense now why just thinking your way to manifestation, just using the mind, often fails.
Exactly. Without that emotional component, without the embodied feeling of alignment, the quantum field just doesn't get a clear signal to reflect back to you. And this, honestly, is where most people miss the mark. They want to think their way into change. When the truth is, you have to feel your way into alignment. You can't just tell the field what you want. You have to become the vibrational match for it.
Okay, let's really unpack that.
Yeah.
Becoming the vibrational match. What does that actually look like day to day in practice?
It means tuning your entire system, like everything. Your body, your breath, your nervous system state, your core beliefs, even your small daily choices, bringing them all into harmony. It's not a one-off thing you do, like a ritual. It's a living, breathing practice. Right. Think about, okay, let's use the love example from the sources. You can do all the affirmations, make the vision boards, visualize your perfect partner.
Yeah, all the standard stuff.
Right. But if, deep down, you're carrying these old wounds of unworthiness, If your nervous system is basically wired to expect rejection, if your heart is guarded, afraid to truly open, well, the quantum field feels that tension. It picks
Yeah.
up the contradiction.
He feels the real signal.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so what you tend to get back is more longing, more searching, more almost but not quite connections. And it's crucial to understand it's not the universe punishing you, it's just perfectly reflecting back your dominant frequency.
So the shift needed then is what? How do you change that frequency?
The shift is into coherence, into feeling whole and worthy now, not later when the partner arrives, now. It's about practicing the emotions of what you desire before it physically appears.
Feeling it first.
Embodying the state of already having it, feeling that gratitude, that love, that security now. So the field has no choice but to collapse that timeline into your physical form. You become the frequency first, and then the form follows.
Okay, it sounds simple when you say it like that, but we keep coming back to this. Why does almost no one actually do it this way? What's the block?
Because letting go feels completely unnatural. Our human minds, they love to complicate things. We want the 10 steps, the 5 hacks, the guaranteed formula, right?
Yeah, we have the blueprint.
Totally. But the quantum field isn't a machine you operate. It's more like a mirror or a dance partner. It's alive, it's responsive, it's intelligent, and it's waiting for you to meet it with this steady, embodied presence, not with frantic doing. And the number one reason people stay stuck, it's what you could call the control trap.
The control trap. Yeah, that definitely resonates. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's when people are constantly monitoring their results with anxiety. They say they're visualizing abundance, but they're checking their bank account 10 times a day, feeling lack soul each time. Or they're scripting about finding love, but then they're obsessing over every text message, analyzing every interaction in dating, feeling needy.
Right, that hyper-focus on the outcome.
Yes. Or they declare they're healthy, but they're constantly scanning their body for symptoms, fearing the worst. By doing this, they're actually sending a powerful signal of distrust to the field. They're consciously affirming one thing, but subconsciously, energetically, they're transmitting the complete opposite: fear, doubt, lack.
And like you said, energy never lies, does it? The field picks up on that deeper feeling.
Precisely. The quantum field doesn't speak English or Spanish or any human language. It speaks the language of energy, a frequency. You can say all the right words, but if your nervous system is constantly braced for loss, if your mind is stuck looping in doubt, if your body is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol, the field hears that deeper frequency.
And reflects it back.
And reflects it back. This is why so many people get absolutely exhausted trying to manifest. They feel like they're doing all the things right, but they're doing them from this underlying state of hypervigilance, scarcity, and lack.
Yeah.
And so the pattern just repeats. They end up manifesting more waiting, more lack, more effort, more searching, because energetically they're stuck in the timeline of trying to get it, not the timeline of already having it.
And we mentioned earlier how absolutely key the subconscious is in all this.
Oh, massively, yeah. It runs, something like 95% of your life on autopilot? It shapes your habits, your beliefs, your automatic emotional reactions, your fundamental sense of identity. So you can consciously desire a massive breakthrough, but if your subconscious is still anchored in those old stories, I'm not enough, nothing ever works out for me, I always have to struggle for everything I get.
Yeah, those deep-seated beliefs.
Those stories, those programs, they're the ones collapsing the wave function. They keep collapsing it into the same old results again and again.
And that really explains why just saying affirmations, without feeling them, without that embodiment, feels so hollow and doesn't work.
Exactly. That's why affirmations without embodiment feel empty. It's why visualizations without regulating your nervous system first often just collapse under the weight of anxiety. It's why taking massive action, but from an unaligned identity, just leads to burnout.
Right.
See, quantum manifestation isn't like an add-on technique you bolt onto your existing life. It's a fundamental recalibration of your entire system. It's a remembering, a returning to your natural state. It's about becoming the version of you that is already living within the timeline you desire before you see any external evidence of it.
Okay, let's make that really practical. Give me some concrete examples of how someone could actually embody this for, say, abundance or love or health.
Sure. Okay, so for abundance, instead of just visualizing money, practice feeling abundant now. How? Maybe by treating yourself with genuine generosity, not necessarily spending wildly, but with your presence, your care. Letting go of micromanaging every penny and focusing instead on embodying the feeling of trust. Trust that you're supported. For love. Practice loving yourself now. Radically. Gently.
Okay.
Maybe opening your heart just a little bit more. Softening your boundaries where they're rigid. Actively becoming the kind of loving, secure partner you wish to attract. Stop looking outside for validation and start living as if you are already whole and complete, because fundamentally you are.
And for health.
For health. Maybe stop the constant scanning for what's wrong. Start actively nurturing what feels right, what feels good, even if it's small. Shift intentionally from that chronic survival mode into resilience. Practice genuine gratitude for the body you have right now, while gently guiding it, supporting it towards greater vitality.
And there's that final paradox again, isn't it? When you stop needing it so desperately.
It arrives faster. And again, it's not because the universe is testing you or playing some kind of game. It's simply that you are no longer the source of the resistance. Your desperate need was the resistance.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask you, the listener, this. Where in your life are you still, like, white-knuckling the steering wheel, really gripping tight? Where are you constantly measuring, tracking, forcing, chasing? What do you think would happen? What might shift? If you just released your grip by, say, 10%. Just feel into that for a moment.
That feeling of release.
It sounds like this isn't about becoming passive at all, but shifting from that desperate control into more of a co-creation.
A dance. Exactly. That subtle yet incredibly powerful revolutionary shift. That's where quantum manifestation really starts to hum. It starts to work with you. And this brings us to what might be the most powerful but often least talked about truth in all of this, the part that's kind of hidden in plain sight.
Great.
You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are.
Wow. Say that again. You manifest what you are.
You manifest what you are. It's not just a nice, fluffy idea. It's presented as a fundamental principle of how this quantum field interacts with you. The field doesn't primarily respond to your wish list, your vision board, your perfectly crafted affirmations. It responds to the signal of your being. The overall vibrational signature you carry in every single moment in your thoughts, your feelings, your posture, your breath, your interactions. And that signal, it's built moment by moment. Not just in what you're doing, but in how you are being while you're doing it.
I like the radio metaphor that came up in the sources. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a great one. Imagine you're a radio receiver, right? If you want to listen to, say, jazz music, you don't just sit there demanding jazz from the universe while your dial is still firmly tuned to the heavy metal station.
You got to change the station.
You have to change the dial. You have to tune your frequency to match the frequency of the music you want to receive. Quantum manifestation works exactly the same way. You simply cannot attract the timeline you desire while you are still vibrating, still broadcasting at the frequency of the timeline you're trying to leave behind.
So the million-dollar question, how do we change the dial? How do we shift that frequency?
You start by becoming consciously aware of your current frequency. Not just what you think you feel, but how you actually feel in your body. How does your body move through the day? Is it tense? Relaxed? How do you breathe when you feel stressed? What are the background stories looping in your mind almost unnoticed?
That awareness piece.
Yeah. Most of us aren't manifesting deliberately most of the time. We're manifesting on autopilot, just recycling the same old states, the same reactions, the same energetic transmissions day after day. And the field, because it's a perfect mirror, faithfully reflects them back. The shift begins the moment you interrupt that pattern. And not with like brute force or frantic effort, but with really simple embodied practices.
Like what? Give me an example.
It can be as subtle as taking one single conscious breath in the middle of an anxious moment, just one breath to interrupt the spiral. Or as gentle as placing a hand on your heart when you feel lost in doubt, just to reconnect with yourself. Or maybe as bold as asking yourself in a challenging situation, okay, what would the version of me who already has the thing you desire, be doing right now? How would they handle this? And then taking just one small inspired action from that place.
From that future self.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, they often don't tell you. The quantum field doesn't need you to be perfect. It doesn't need you to be happy 24/7. It just needs you to be coherent.
Coherent. Define that again in this context.
Yeah. Coherence is when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are all moving in the same direction. They're aligned. It's when you stop saying one thing, I want abundance, feeling another, fear of lack, and doing something disconnected, hoarding, or anxious checking. It's when your whole system, your whole being just kind of hums with a single unified signal. And when you achieve that state, even just for moments, you create this kind of subtle gravitational pull in the field. Reality actually starts to bend towards you. Things start showing up.
So making that really practical again.
Yeah.
It's not just, say, visualizing abundance, but actually practicing being generous. Is that the kind of thing?
Exactly. Practice generosity.
Yeah.
And not just with money, maybe with your attention, your time, your energy. Intentionally train your nervous system to feel the sensations of, I have enough, I am supported, even if the numbers in your bank account haven't caught up yet.
Okay.
For love, practice vulnerability. Open your heart in small, brave ways every day. Consciously be the safe, loving space you long to find in someone else. For health, practice presence with your body. Really listen to it, nourish it, move it, rest it from a place of deep respect, not punishment or criticism. This is the simple path. And yet,
Yeah, few walk it.
few walk it because it asks you to go first. It asks you to become the frequency before the external evidence arrives. It asks you to lead with your being, not with your neediness or your wanting.
And you mentioned emotional regulation earlier as a really key but often misunderstood piece of this.
Totally misunderstood. Yeah. People often assume manifestation means you have to feel good all the time, like suppress anything negative.
Right, toxic positivity.
Exactly. It's not about that at all. It's about feeling real all the time, acknowledging whatever is present, and learning how to gently guide your system back towards alignment when you inevitably get wobbly.
Okay.
So this means welcoming your emotions, even the difficult ones, not trying to push them away or pretend they're not there. It means holding space for your fear without letting it hijack you and drive the car. It means practicing emotional fluidity, learning to ride the waves of feeling without getting completely drowned by them. Because the truth is, you are going to wobble. You're going to doubt sometimes, you're going to have hard days, and that is absolutely okay. The real power isn't in never falling off balance, it's in how you learn to return, how quickly and compassionately you bring yourself back.
So, okay, this feels like a good moment. I just invite you, listening right now, just take a deep breath. Just notice where you are. Ask yourself, what timeline, what frequency am I tuned into in this very moment? Is it leaning towards fear or trust, towards scarcity or abundance, towards waiting or arrival? And do it without any judgment, just noticing. Because that moment you notice, that creates a point of choice.
Yeah.
And choice is the doorway. It's the doorway to coherence.
Beautifully put. And that really brings us to the final piece of this puzzle, doesn't it? Which is that manifestation isn't some kind of performance you perfect. It's a practice.
A practice.
It's not something you master once and you're done. It's something you live. Moment by moment, choice by choice. So many people get stuck because they believe it's about doing more affirmations, more rituals, hacking the system, perfecting the formula. But the truly powerful manifestors, they aren't necessarily the ones who know the most techniques. They're the ones who have learned how to consistently hold a coherent state, how to regulate themselves back into alignment when life, as it always does, shakes them up.
Because the reality is, you are going to face moments that test that coherence.
Exactly. There will absolutely be days where fear creeps back in, where old limiting patterns whisper doubts in your ear, where the old timeline you're trying to leave feels like it's got this magnetic pull dragging you back.
Yeah.
And in those moments, the temptation is huge to just fall back into that old control mode, to push harder, to force things, to micromanage the outcome. But the real mastery, the deep practice, is this. Can you hold the frequency of trust even when the external evidence hasn't arrived yet?
No.
Can you hold the vibration of it is already done while the world around you still looks exactly the same? Can you anchor yourself so deeply, so fully in the feeling of the new timeline that the old one simply loses its power, its seduction over you? This is where embodiment becomes absolutely non-negotiable.
Okay, so how do we make that practical? Day to day when things feel shaky.
Well, one simple routine suggested in the source material is this. Each morning, maybe before you even grab your phone, just take a few quiet breaths. Ask yourself, okay, what frequency am I choosing to tune into today? Am I defaulting to scarcity or choosing abundance? Leaning into fear or opening to trust? Trying to control or allowing flow? Just set an intention.
Okay.
Then throughout the day, use your body as your compass. Your body always knows. It will tell you instantly when you've fallen out of alignment. You'll feel that tension, that clenching, that contraction somewhere.
Become aware of the physical feeling.
Yes. And in that moment, you don't need to beat yourself up or spiral down. You just need to notice,
Correct.
breathe, and gently recalibrate. Ask that question again. What would the version of me who is already living in my desired timeline choose right now? And then just take one small action, make one small choice from that aligned place.
And then at night.
And then maybe at night, before sleep, briefly review the day. But crucially, not with judgment, with gentle curiosity. Where did I wobble today? Where did I manage to stay aligned? Where did I get even a tiny glimpse of my own creative power? And maybe end with some gratitude. Gratitude is a massive amplifier of coherence. Acknowledge even the smallest wins, the smallest moments of alignment.
And community matters too, right? That's something we often overlook in this very individualistic approach.
Very hugely important, yes. We are fundamentally social and energetic beings. We literally co-regulate our nervous systems with the people around us. So when you intentionally surround yourself with others who are also practicing coherence, who are playing in this quantum field consciously, who are committed to embodiment, your own system starts to get trained to that higher vibration. It learns by resonance.
Yeah.
That's why curating your environment is so vital. Not just your physical space, but your energetic space too. Find the voices, the podcasts, the books, the actual communities that consistently remind you who you are becoming. Fill your field with reminders of your chosen timeline. Allow your external world to become an active ally to your internal practice.
It sounds like there's really no finish line, is there? It's not like you arrive at manifestation station.
Exactly right. The point isn't to arrive somewhere and then just stop. The point is to learn to live within this continuous unfolding where you become the living, breathing edge of your own evolution, where you don't just manifest things, but you actually become someone who lives as a creator, as a co-creator, as a conscious participant in the beautiful, messy shaping of reality. And maybe the most beautiful part of it all is realizing this. The quantum field is not separate from you. It's not some external force you have to manipulate from a distance. It's something you are already intimately entangled with. In a very real sense, you are the field, you are the wave, you are both the observer and the observed.
So when you really tune your frequency, when you align your being, you're not just asking life to meet you halfway.
No, you are becoming the very version of life you've been seeking all along.
It's a powerful realization, definitely.
It really is.
Well, we have covered some truly fascinating ground today. We've explored this surprising simplicity behind quantum manifestation, the big trap of forced effort, the absolute importance of coherence and just being, and importantly, how to actually begin practicing this alignment in your everyday life.
Lots to chew on.
Definitely. And I really want to leave you, the listener, with this one provocative thought to mull over. If you truly manifest what you are, not just what you want, then who are you choosing to be in this very instant?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah. Powerful question.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. If this conversation resonated with you at all, if it sparked something or provided some value, or even just a moment of clarity, please do give this video a like. It genuinely helps this message reach more people who might need to hear it.
And if you feel called to explore this practice of coherence and embodiment more deeply, definitely subscribe. Join this space, join this ongoing conversation, this community. We like to think it's not just, a subscriber list. It's becoming a real movement of minds and hearts who are exploring and redefining what's possible.
And now we'd love to invite you to share something in the comments below. Just one word. Think of one single word that captures the energy, the frequency you choose to embody this week, or maybe carry forward after listening to this. It could be trust, flow, ease, allowing, abundance, love, being, whatever resonates first.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, just drop that word below. Because naming that energy, that's actually the very beginning of aligning with it.
Leave your word below. We genuinely love reading them. Naming it is truly the first step to embodying it.
And finally, if you know someone who you think would benefit from hearing this perspective, maybe someone feeling stuck in their manifestation efforts, or just looking for a simpler, more embodied approach, please do share this video with them. We bet they'll thank you for it.
Yeah, pass it on.
Thank you again for your presence, for your attention, and for sharing your energy with us today. Let's all keep tuning, keep aligning, and keep playing consciously in this amazing field.